So how's it going, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing good on this fine evening. If you're new to the channel, I'm Brexter and I create content, anything Yu-Gi-Oh and everything Yu-Gi-Oh. So today is the release date for the Fusion Festival. You might be wondering what are the good decks that you might use in the festival. Fret not. I have made 5 Fusion decks just for you to have fun with, or even just play through or grind some crystals throughout the whole festival. So without further ado, let's get into Master Duels and check those decks out. So here we are, guys, in my deck list. So these are the variants for the decks that I've created. First and foremost, let's go with this one. So basically, this is the deck that I'm running now in Master Duels. So I replaced Entes with this lovely boy right here. So this is one of the new fusion monsters that's been released for this season. Having a 3K monster on the field, it's worth something, you know. And of course, there's no other monster that I can see that's relevant to Despia or even Dark Fairy monsters at the moment. So yeah. Or if you want 3 copies of Masquerade, this is also good. So yeah, Despia and Tragedy 2 copies, 3 copies of Maxis, 3 copies of Ash Blossom. The same thing, all the same. Yes, that's the basic one, or that's the one I'm using right now. Next we'll go to the Invoke Shadal. So this is a little variant that I've created just now. So yeah, basically you have your hand traps, the 3 maxis, 3 ash blossoms, your Cold by the Grave, your imperm, 2 copies of imperm, 1 copy of Nibiru. So with regards to your shadows, you need 2 copies of Hedgehog just for your just for adding shadow cards to your hand. Or Shadow monsters, I think this you can add 1 Shadow monster from your hand, yeah. And then your Windy for special summoning your Shadow monster to the field, either face up or face down. This one to send any Shadow, well basically this is the whole Shadow in general, just sending your Shadow monsters to your graveyard. So yeah. Next, you have your 2 copies of Shadow Dragon just to pop a card in the field. Well, basically you pop a spell or trap on the field. Which is most cases there are still people running with True Dracos, so yeah, you'll need this one. Yeah, your Destiny Hero package, so your Celestial Dasher, 2 Fusion Destiny, and then you of course your Destroyer Phoenix. Next, you have your 3 copies of Invoker, very good. 1 copy of Ariel just for banishing your opponent's DPE if ever they already have that in your graveyard. One Nibiru, 1 Dasher. Then for your magic and traps, you got your Harpies, 1 Foolish Burial, 3 copies of Shadow Fusion. Invocation, just of course, yeah, Invocation. Summoning your Mechaba to the field, if ever. And then yeah, your basic Fusion Destiny, 2 copies of Meltdown, of course. Super Polymerization for your Mud Dragon, your Cold by the Grave, 2 copies. Your 2 copies of Impermanence. Your 1 copy of Shadal's Schism, of course, for fusion summoning your Shadal monsters. And then for your extra deck, you have your... this card is very good, to be honest. You have your Shadal Wendy on the field, and then if ever you can summon this one to your side of the field, then your opponent is locked to 1 activation. It's pretty good, and also it affects you, of course. But, you know, locking your opponent for 1 turn, it's pretty good. So, yeah. Next, your Mud Dragon, of course, your 2 copies of Winda, 1 copy of Apkalone, 2 copies of Construct, 1 copy of Starving Venom, 1 copy of Magellanica. This is for the 3K attacks, very good. You just need your Maxi as one of the requirements with your Alistair the Invoker, so it's pretty good. One copy of Dragostopelia, your I don't know how to spell this, your Ogodis. Your DPE, 2 copies of Mechaba, and then your copy of Greedy Venom Fusion Dragon. So that's it for Invo Shadal. Next we have, where are we? Here we are, the Dark Lord. So yeah, this is Despia Dark Lord. Still 2 copies of Tragedy, 1 copy of Ukobak, 3 copies of Indulge Dark Lord. So we're not running with Capricious with this deck just because I think Ukobak is much better, and to have your deck just set to 40 cards will be good. Next you have 3 copies of Alibur, 1 copy of Amdusk, 1 copy of Superbia, 1 copy of Nurgle. Now you can either go with Nasten if you want, but yeah, Nurgle's a pretty good card just to have that piercing effect. One copy of Dramaturge of Despia. You can even remove this one, have one more copy of Dramaturge. Preference, guys. Ad libitum of Despia, one copy. Your Tez, one copy of that. 3 copy of Eggshell, one copy of your Morningstar, of course, just for nuking the field if ever you have Theater of the Branded on the field as well. Your Foolish Burial for your Tragedy. Your 3 copies of Reasoning. Now, basically, on my older videos, I run with 2 copies or 3 copies of Allure of Darkness, but in this case, we won't do that. So just go with Reasoning and pray you'll get the good cards. Anyway, so yeah, next we have your Banishment of the Dark Lords, 3 copies of that, and still 2 copies of Dark Lord Contacts, since searching is more useful than your Spiritual Summoning, and then you can just copy this one with your Eggshell, Nurgle, or even your Tez once they are on the field. Next, you have your 3 copies of Theater, 2 copies of Super Poly, 2 copies of Called by the Grave, 3 copies of Branded Opening, 1 copy of Branded in Red, and then of course your Sanctified Dark Lord for your negation purposes. For your extra deck, of course, the same old. We have your Mud Dragon, Starving, Predator Plant, Dragostipelia, 2 copies of Cortes, 3 copies of Blazing Dragon, 1 copy of the Typh. I don't know how to spell this one. The Vedatum, yes, and then the Venom Fusion Dragon. 2 copies of Praskinian. If you have another fusion monster that's way better than this one, then go for it. And then your 2 copies of the first Dark Lord, just for some cases where this one is sent or banished from play, then you can use the other one. But I think that's not a problem since you have your ad libitum always prepared. So that is the Dark Lord. Next up, we have your the Doll Despia. So yeah. So this is for every deck that I've made. I placed Destiny Hero Felix because Destiny Hero Felix is pretty good in every deck that is using fusion monsters at the moment, and of course very good when it's paired with Despia. So there's not much that's changed for this one. So it's just your Shadows that's been added into the deck. So yeah, two Tragedies, 3 Maxis, 1 Hedgehog, 3 copies of Ash, 1 copy of Wendy, 1 copy of your Scubata, 2 Dragons just to pop spell or traps on your opponent's side of the field. This is very good. Or either you can run with 1 copy of or even you can go with 2 copies of Scumata. It's your choice, guys. But I prefer running with 2 Dragons just because there's a lot of I keep on running it with True Draco players, so yeah. Dragon's pretty good. Your DPE package as usual. Your Ariel, your Aliber, 3 copies. Your 1 copy of Beast just for draw power. Your 2 copies of Dramaturge, 1 copy of Ad Libitum, 3 copies of Shadow of Fusion. And then your 3 copies of Despia Theater. Same old, and of course lastly your Shadow Schism. Now next up, you have your extra deck, which is the Normality of Mud Dragon, always present on the extra deck. Your Winda, 2 copies, 1 Apkalone, 2 copies of Construct, 1 copy of Dragostipelia. Same old 2 copies of Cortes, 1 DPE, 3 copies of Blazing Dragon. Now this might change if you want. It's up to you. 1 Rifle Veratum, 1 copy of Proskinian, and yes, that's it. So yeah, I'm not running with the first Dark Lord with this one, since of course there are an unusual type of monsters on this deck. So yeah, no, and that's that. So last deck, guys, this is the Invoke Despia. So yeah, we have the DPE package still included in this one. 2 Tragedies, 3 Maxis, 3 Ash Blossoms, Invoke, of course. Then you have your Fallen of Albas because Cortes is very good with Fallen of Albas when Cortes leaves the field. I think there's not much changes with regards to this one, but you only have 1 copy of Magical Meltdown will be good. Then you have 2 copies of Branded in Red for a failsafe if ever 1 copy is negated. So you have 1 copy present with you. Now for your extra deck, yes, you still have the Caliga. I really like this card, to be honest. Your Dragon, Dragostipelia, so on. Your 2 Mechabus and your Life of Veritum. Yes, I pronounced it. correctly. And then of course your the first Dark Lord. Since I don't know why I'm placing this. I can go with even I'm running with Invoke though. Let's go with blah. That's good. Anyway, so that's it for today, guys. Keep safe, good luck, and enjoy your remainder of the day. See you next time, guys, and hope to see you in the next video. Peace. Bye bye.